Fuel storage tanks are bulky and hazardous, so the question is, where can they be securely placed without detracting from the aesthetics or the function of the facility? The choices are above ground, underground, or inside the building, and each has its share of practical and regulatory issues.
The size of the fuel storage tanks will determine where they must be placed. An evaluation of the space requirements often determines whether tanks go underground or above ground, and if in a building, the amount of floor space required. Underground fiberglass tanks are typically 8 or 10 feet diameter, but can be 8, 10, or 12 feet with steel or fiberglass tanks. Here's a quick way to think about the volume for steel tanks. Fiberglass tanks would be longer to allow for the domed heads. The benefits of underground tanks are the minimal space requirements at grade and the gravity return from day tanks. However, there are pollution risks and regulations for owning and operating. Above-ground tanks are easy to inspect for fuel leaks. They are also easier to relocate or remove without the burden of underground tank closure rules. The primary drawback: the space requirements for large tanks at grade and the potential they may not look good to the architect and owner. Above-ground tanks typically don't allow gravity filling or gravity return flow from day tanks, so more consideration is required for these aspects of the fuel system. The primary drawback to tanks inside? Cost. Relatively expensive space inside the building and the costs associated with special construction for the tank room. Building codes require that the tanks be located on the lowest level of the building.